Hey guys, Mike Kilmate here, and I'm sitting here with one of my business partners and managers, John Wetmore. John, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thank you.
Awesome. So John and I have been in business together for maybe a little over 5 years, roughly.
We're almost 7 now.
It's almost 7. Holy jeez. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing this because John and I have a great relationship, and it's funny. I was talking to Andrew the other day, and Andrew goes, "Are you ever like negative to like people that agents and stuff?" And I said, John probably gets it. Like, I'm like John has had to listen to me, and not that we're negative at all, because it's just you cannot. The world's too negative. But if there's ever when as you grow and your agency gets bigger, there's fewer people to talk to, and that's all right. You gotta continue to grow. And John and I have grown together, and I appreciate him listening to me, and I listen to him, and he's helped me out tremendously when it comes to the numbers and everything and technology and stuff. So, but John, help them with number one. You didn't sell insurance for like 30 years, right? Before we got into this,
I didn't sell anything.
Kind of go. Tell them what you did before we started doing this.
So right prior, I was in accounting. I had never really. I've been in accounting for a handful of years. I started doing that probably in my mid-20s when I realized working in warehouses and restaurants wasn't a good option.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd be smart and go to college, and went to a community college and stared at a board, and someone asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I had no idea. And she literally said, what are you good at? So I said math. And she said, you should do accounting, which one really has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah.
So I did accounting for a handful of years, and it is what it is. I was not a big fan of the corporate world ever. I thought going and getting a degree was the solution to that because I didn't know any better. I don't really have any business. I don't have any business people in my family at all. So I didn't really know. We didn't really have a path, but I saw a bunch of people doing blue collar work and how miserable they were, and what I mean, in their 40s they were sore and broken and backs and still making the same money I was making in my early 20s. I knew I didn't want to do that, so again, thought school and the corporate world was the solution, and didn't take me long to figure out that wasn't either. Just didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew it wasn't that, and until I ran into insurance. So,
and then so when you got into the insurance, you've done a great job, and it's been great for my agency when it comes to numbers.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward, because you sold a ton of insurance.
Yeah.
Like you Hall of Fame producer with Family First Life, and what that means is John sold over 400,000 by himself in 12 months.
Yeah.
And you did that fast. Like you did that like 2 years in with Family First Life, I believe.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk to them about that, about how you looked at the numbers? This is what this number meant, and if this number goes up, this number goes up, because it is so. I love it because I remember in insurance. That's why I ended up going. Oh, I don't have to be good at it.
Yeah.
I figured out it was a number. I'm like, no, I'm not as good. I'm not an accountant by my background.
Yeah.
And so my number. I'm like, I don't do what he's about to explain to you guys, but it's like, I remember going, oh, if I run 20 instead of 10. My income.
I should do more.
Yeah, I should do more. It's like it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But the John will go over some numbers that it backs it up, because it 100%
does.
Backs up that this is truly a numbers game.
Yeah, and it works. Numbers work in my head, and it's funny, like when you say it out loud, if I run 20 instead of 10, I should make more. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But to the average person, they just think if they run 20 instead of 10, it's gonna be twice as bad. It's weird. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Instead of twice as good. It's like that ain't right though, And for me, like I know you remember early on, a lot of people don't, because I'm it's weird. I'm like pretty calm and quiet, but I was pretty emotional at the beginning. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was a little bit of a hothead, and if things didn't go my way, I didn't deal with it well, and if a client said something I didn't like, I didn't know how to say it nicely, and
I know. I get those phone calls.
Yeah, things happen. So I think a big part of this business and why people struggle is the emotional side, right? And they start looking at their results so often, so frequent. Like, oh my God, this minute I didn't have success. This 30 minutes I didn't, this day, this week. And I'm like, in the big scheme of the world, why are we looking at a day or a week? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I started, like, I'm analytical, but in the opposite way of most people. I'm not analytical to slow down. I'm analytical so I can figure out how to do more.
Yep.
More efficiently, more effectively. You know what I mean? That's how I succeed in a lot of the jobs. I kind of found the best way to do it in the shortest window, if you will.
Yeah.
Kind of the most with the least effort. Not least effort, that's a bad way to say it, but just be more efficient. And so for me, I started looking at my results in a way that I could just make it really black and white, like we did in the accounting world. Because in business, they literally go, if we can do X and produce Y, why don't we do X twice and produce Y twice? And now we're twice as profitable. It's a business 101 stuff. And so for me, I started looking at what I was doing early on, and I tracked things just because it was easy and I was an accountant, that's what I did. So I started looking at stuff, and I remember early on looking at how many dials I made versus my deposits. That was the first clue for me early, because I was part-time.
Yep.
First year I was part-time, and I was making a decent amount of sales. I wasn't killing it by any means, but I worked consistently. That's the thing I never struggled with, was the consistent work.
Yeah.
I've been working consistently since I was a kid, just because we had to. You know what I mean?
Right.
My life situation, we didn't have money, whatever. We all go through stuff, but work ethic wasn't an issue for me.
Yeah.
So I was working consistently enough to see deposits frequently enough. And I just happened to look at it and go, all right, well, how much am I working? How many dials am I making? And then by just default, I went, well, what do I make in deposits? And I just divided one into the other, and I went, dang, I'm making $30 every time I call someone.
Whether they answer,
yes,
whether you booked it,
correct.
It didn't matter. You pick the phone,
I just
you dial
took
the lead.
100 dials and made $3,000. I'm making $30 a dial, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. That was the first light bulb for me. And I was like, so I've never made $30. Like, it used to take me, dude, in the restaurant business before accounting, dude, I'd have to work 15 hours to make $30.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like nuts. But and even in accounting, I mean, I was making $12 an hour or something stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just four hours or something. Now I'm like, I can make it in 30 seconds.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was just a big light bulb moment for me. And that's where I started to go, all right, so who cares what they say? Because when I tracked it out, I looked at it, all that was factored in. All the hang-ups and disconnects and didn't answer and all that was already in there. So I'm like, well, dang, inclusive of all the junk that I didn't like, I'm making $30 every time I call someone.
Yeah.
So I was like, snap. If I just call more, who cares what they say? I make more. And that was the first step for me to take out the emotion.
Yeah.
And just go, if I work, I can print money.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I started doing it to a deeper level, and that's when we really started looking at appointments to deposits, which I think is more important. Dials was one thing, but now if I go, how many people can I schedule versus how much do I make? And that number I liked a lot, because that was closer to $500.
Yep.
I was like, so forget dialing and making 30. Every time I get one to say yes, I make $500. I was like, dang, I just got to get good at getting them to say yes. Yeah. And that's how I learned how to study and practice phone script to work that in a way to where it was just, again, copying what everybody else successful was doing. And the better I got at that, the quicker I got off the phone and still made $500 every time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was just, for me, that was a big light bulb moment. And that's what catapulted me to Hall of Fame, because I looked at the 2014 year, which was my first full-time year, looked at what I did for production, and really realized, dude, that I wasn't putting in a ton of effort. You know what I mean?
You're working like 2.5 days a week.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Maybe.
That's what I was telling you.
Yeah. That's
I mean, if I really, like, again, when I go back to saying I was working in a warehouse, this is one thing I always tell people. I've had 2 jobs in my life where they timed me. I was on a timer.
Yeah,
right?
It's
so
crazy.
So when we used to go up to this desk and
clocking
pull.
in.
Yes, it was instead of clocking in, every second of my job was timed. So in the warehouse, we'd go up to this counter and grab a list of, I used to load trucks. And so we'd grab this sheet, and the second you type in the order number, it started timing you. And based on how many pieces of like food boxes you had to pick up, it told you how long you had to finish it in. And if you didn't finish it in that amount of time with a certain amount of efficiency, you got in trouble.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? So everything was timed, on, off. And I worked in a call center, same way, timed. And I started looking at it like that and go, if I time myself, if I was working for them, and they timed me when I was dialing people and when I was seeing people. And other than that, the timer turned off. Bro, I wasn't working at all.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we break it down. We broke it down. I remember the office that day. We broke it down, and we're like, "Oh, we're at 12 and a half hours this week."
Yep.
And and we were making money too. It was like
100%.
That's the crazy thing.
100%.
And I remember like it was yesterday when you're like, I think I'm going to work one every other weekend.
Yeah.
Remember that? You're like, I think I'm going to throw
on a Saturday.
Throw on a Saturday every other weekend, and I think you made an extra $200,000 or something that year. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Like, I remember at the office. I think we're down in the meeting room. Like, I think I work every other Saturday, and
It was one Saturday a month.
one Saturday. Oh, it was only one a month. I thought it was.
So I did Tuesday,
tell 'em about
Wednesday
that.
every week. Tuesday, Wednesday every week. I did every other because I had my kids every other Friday.
Every
Every other
other-
weekend I had the kids.
That's right.
So 2 out of 4 weekends I had the kids. So I worked every other Friday.
And then one Saturday.
And then out of the 4 Saturdays, I had my kids 2. So one I worked and one I stayed home with Steph.
Yeah, that's what it
So
was. So it was every other Friday.
Every
I
other
knew it was
Friday.
like 1 week you worked 4
Yep.
days, and
Every other Friday. So I
out
did
of the month.
Yep. 2 days a week, twice a month. 3 days a week, once a month. 4 days a week, once a month. That was it. It was 11 days in the field.
and then it added. You and I were talking about it. It
It
added
Dude,
5 data appointments those days. So you added like the 1 week you worked Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. It actually added
It was almost 300.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
from
the
175 to 460.
year. 175
So it's
appointments that 1 year to
No,
400.
175,000.
175. That's right. 175,000 to
460.
460.
So it was like 290,000 it added.
God. I mean, that's what's fun about this. And you and I laugh about it, and we laughed about it then. Like, I remember it's like, oh, so you just, because I think you just said it also, people look at things like,
Yeah.
they look at doubling the work instead of going from 10 to 20, going, oh, that's double the work.
Yep.
When you really quadruple your income, you don't double the income.
Yeah.
It's really weird how this business works is, like, when you go from 10, just to break it down for you, like, if you run 10 appointments, you're 2 or 3 people are going to no-show you.
Yeah.
So now we're down to 7, let's say, or let's just say 6. You're going to sell half, so you sell 3.
Yeah.
But if you do 20 appointments and let's say 5 people no-show you or whatever, now you're down to 15, you still sell the half.
Yep.
You still sell 7 or 8. So $8,000 compared to $3,000,
Big difference.
it's a big difference, right? It's John. How do you help? Because funny enough, talking about numbers. Not only did you do that selling, but your agency wise.
Yeah.
So we went from when we started. What was your agency doing? Well, I guess it was just you.
So I did 175,000.
You did 175,000.
The agency did 176.
Okay, all right. Shaylee threw one in
That's right.
between classes.
Yeah, my daughter did.
Yeah.
That's right. There's no volume.
And then I mean, we're laughing about it a few minutes ago. We just got the numbers just for this week, and it's like almost $350, I think.
Yeah.
That you paid for the week. So what? Talk to them about that. Not the sales thing, but also the hiring, because you're one of the top managers all in Family First Life and in my agency for sure. But talk to them about your mindset and the work ethic how do the numbers translate into hiring also?
Yeah. So for me, I try to give people perspective, man. And we talk to a lot of people that have jobs. We don't get a ton of people that are self-employed like you are coming in. So for me, it's easy to relate to them because I've worked a lot of hours for other people and made no money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when I realize how much work we do for someone else to make no money, right? But how strict I had to commute an hour and a half each way to work for like 8 years. You know what I mean? Each way.
Yes.
And didn't get paid.
So 3 hours.
Yes.
On the road. Yep.
Every day on the road.
Every day.
Yes.
Yep.
And when I was up north, I commuted to a different state. I went from New Hampshire to Mass. You know what I mean? It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I was never late.
Right.
Ever. And I showed up to work every day. If I was sick, if it was raining, if I didn't feel good, if anything, my mom had something, wife had something, kids had, I still went to work every day no matter what.
Yeah.
And I was making, I know we laughed when I dug it out of the garage one day cleaning out. And my check I texted to, it was like $460 for the week or something stupid.
My question was like, what is this?
Yeah. and I had a fancy title at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like, gosh, and so when I start looking at how much effort we put in for someone else, I'm like, wouldn't it be normal to put in more effort for yourself?
Right.
But people don't.
Right.
And so I start talking to them about that. You know what I mean? And I figure out what they did and how much they did it for. And I'm like, well, now you're in charge. Why are you letting yourself slack off? And why is you're the employee and the employer?
Yeah, you're doing a bad job managing yourself.
So the employee's taking advantage of the employer, and the employer's a really bad manager.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're both you.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
right.
mean?
You're both of them.
It's like, and so when you start talking to people about that and going, all right, can we work? And then they go, yes, I'm willing to work. And now we start breaking down numbers. And for me, my biggest thing when they're new, because a lot of people go like, yeah, I dialed all day. And when I start breaking down numbers, I'm like, all right, well, how many dials did you make? And that's not necessarily the most relevant thing, but it helps give them perspective, because the most common answer is like 62, 38, 96. Or a big one will be like, I made 180. I'm like, all right, well, how long did each one take you? And I get 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going, cool, I can do math easier with a minute. So let's give you a minute. Even if it's 180 dials, that's only 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas when I worked in a call center, I was paid. I had to be on the phone physically speaking to people for 8 hours.
Yeah. And you were.
Yes, I had to be,
Yep.
or I got fired. That was one of the time jobs.
Yeah.
So of the 8 hours, I had to be communicating with the client for 95% of those 8 hours, or they terminate you.
Yeah.
So I go, if I just learned to hold myself to the same standard. I don't care what you do. But I held myself to that standard, and that's why when I was working with you, I came into the office and I was dialing the phone by 8 a.m.
That's right.
I was physically on the phone, and I was making 40, 50 dials per hour.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Because I was so used to being an employee and being tracked and timed. I'm like, let's be efficient. Knock them out. So it gives people perspective, and then I can go, all right, so you worked an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours today. Why do you expect to be successful? Does that make sense? I can just ask.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
it hits them between the eyes, and they're like...
And it's not offensive, by
It's
the way.
not.
It's not. You're not
Correct.
going, hey, you're not working.
Correct.
It's a great way of communicating with them.
And then I can go, what industry on planet Earth can you have massive success putting in 2-3 hours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, dude. If you quit, like, what's plan B? And who are you going to go work for? And then how many hours are you going to put in? And if you worked for them and they said work 8 hours and they found out you only work 3, what would happen?
Yep.
Better yet, if I worked for you and you found out I only work 3 hours instead of 8, what would you do?
Yeah.
And they all say they'd fire me. And I'm going, okay, can you just hold yourself to the same standard?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it makes it easier to communicate with them from there, because that takes the blame away from it being anything else.
Yeah.
If I can help them understand how to own it, right? Because even if you go, hey, I made 80 dials and I booked 3 appointments. I'm like, that's pretty good for like an hour and a half.
That's really good, yeah.
If you imagine if you worked 8
Especially
hours,
you're new.
now you'd have 30 appointments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try to give them a different perspective, because that's what helped me, giving myself different insight, different perspective. So if I can change perspective early, now I can work with them and they can own what they're doing wrong. Because if they put in the time, I can fix it.
Right.
Dude, I could take my Kilomet and give them X, you know what I mean, give him minimal work, and he ain't gonna make any money.
No, that's right.
So it helps me there, and helps me be honest with them. And then again, if they're looking for, I need help with phone script. No, you don't. You need help dialing the phone.
Yeah.
If you dial the phone a bunch and work 8 hours like an adult, like you would in any other job, now I can fix it. And it helps.
So that's a good point, and we'll wrap up after this. I want you to comment on this too, but think about it. If you, like I always say, my daughter at 12, if I just gave her a stack of leads, and she called them and said, hey, you sent me this form, I'm coming over at 4, like you just said, because it's not phone script.
Correct.
It's not. Now, I got it. Your tone's got to be good. You got to do that so you don't got, I'm not numb to that.
Correct.
But if they did enough work, like you're talking, that's what I love about this. Because I could give her a stack and go, hey, call these all day and tell me how many people said you could come over. If you worked 8 hours,
she'd book a bunch.
She would book at least 20. They would 20 people would go, yeah, I filled it out. Come on over. How do you, John, on the management side? We kind of just went over that. How I love that because setting expectations is big for me.
Yeah.
Like I think if we set the right expectations for them early on, they're not upset with you.
Correct.
If we're like, hey, this is what you should expect here, and this is what I expect, then we're on the same page. And I think that's one reason you grow so fast or growing one of the fastest growing managers in Family First Life, is that reason right there. So, last thing, and then I'll wrap up. What are you looking for when you like? I know we just hired Grayson.
Yeah,
man, he's like the model. He's a
good
works.
student.
He's a good student, and he works.
Yeah.
When you compare both of those, I mean, what did he issue? 46,000 last month or something?
Yeah, his first full month.
First full month. But I mean, he blows my phone up. He blows your.
Yep.
He wants to be educated.
Yeah, he does.
Now he did enterprise rent-a-cars.
Yep.
So he wasn't insurance.
No,
he's never done this before. No. But he's hungry for the knowledge, and then the best way to make money here is tie knowledge and work ethic together.
Yeah.
You'll make a boatload of money with us.
Yeah.
What could you give them one tip, John? How can they get the knowledge, or how should they do that? And kind of what do you look for in a new agent? How do you explain to them? Because, like you said, you're in a good spot. You are an employee, so you understand when they're coming. They have that broke mindset of not really understanding the investment of buying leads or doing whatever. So how do you get them to understand? Man, if they will just get the knowledge and understand it and work, this is a home run.
Yeah. So again, it's what you said. It's setting expectations. So for me, I let everybody know I'm only looking to work with people who really want to achieve something at a higher level, that are willing to be coachable, and understand that they don't know what they don't know right now. And I messed up about everything possible in this business, clearly. It's a lot there. But I learned from it, and I was big on going like, where can I get better?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I owned it. When I make mistakes, I'll own them in a second, and I've made a lot of them. So for me, I always go, listen, I'm looking for people who want to do big things, who want to work hard, and are looking for me to guide, coach, and mentor to help you get there quicker than I did.
That's right.
If you aren't willing to do the work and go out and work as hard for your family as I did for my family, you're not my guy. I can't. You don't need me for anything. I don't add any value to you. Yeah. So I'm looking to add value to people's lives, that I can help you change your family situation, like Killamet and Sean and many others helped change mine. Does that make sense? But I was willing to do the work.
Yep.
I can't come and get you out of bed in the morning. I can't beg you to get on the phone. I can't, you know what I mean? But I can guide you. Yeah. So if you're willing to be coached and told what you should and shouldn't be doing, and you're willing to listen and follow direction just based on pure experience, because I went from dirt broke to learning how to make 40, 50 grand a month selling insurance. Forget an override, a team, none of that. I'll go make 500 grand a year with some leads and a phone.
That's right. Yeah.
So I do this because I choose to do it. Yeah. I don't need an agent. I love working with people who want to help themselves, though. Yeah. So if you're one of those, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
And I will push you towards your goals. So I'll get you what your goals are. I'll help you get there. Does that make sense? And I'm just looking for people that want to raise their hand and go, that's me. I want something different than everyone else.
Yeah.
And to get something different than everyone else, you have to be willing to do things different.
Yep.
And we're going to just guide you based on experience. And I tell everybody, we will hand you success on a silver platter. If you choose to not eat off it, that's on you.
That's right.
Because we have all the resources available, and again, all of it's by experience. We're not any better than anybody else, but we went out and worked and figured out how to do this thing at a high level, and we're willing to pass the knowledge on if you're the person that wants it as bad as we did.
To accept it.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's spot on, man, because that's what it's about. It's about watching. Like, I love to watch what you and Steph, putting the pool in, just watching this stuff, just different things. The kids going to the private school this year. It's just, I know they act different.
100%.
You know what I mean? I'm around Maddox some when he comes to the office from school, but it's just, that's fun.
It is.
And that's what this is about, and to help others get what we're able to achieve, because we've screwed it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good thing about Family First Life. We've all already done this. Now, that's good or bad for you, right?
Yeah.
Because I've already messed it up.
Yeah.
We're telling you, don't do it this way. Do it this way, because this way works. So, man, I appreciate you. I love being in business with you. Can't wait what the next few years, next 5-10 years has in store. I got a good idea. It's going to be as much fun as the first couple have been. So,
absolutely.
Appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you.
Later, guys.